The Chainsaw Man movie is perhaps one of the greatest pieces of fiction that I have ever witnessed in my life, and that is no exaggeration. From the overall plot of the film, to its amazing characters, use of beautiful symbolism, to its breathtaking soundtracks and music, and of course, needless to be mentioned, the amazing artistry of Mappa Studio, there's almost no parts of this movie that left me dissatisfied when exiting the theaters. And if you ever near watched the movie or read the manga, this is obviously going to be a spoiler warning. Starting off of reze, I begin this with a simple and yet complex question. Why didn't reze kill Denji? Reze is perhaps one of the most well written, and certainly one of my most favorite written characters in the entire Chainsaw Man universe. And I just can't help but yap about what makes her such a brilliant and likable character. She's a tragic character who's committed numerous crimes, and yet you still can't help but root for her throughout the entirety of the movie. I mean, who wouldn't fold in front of her? She enters the story as a seemingly normal, charming girl with an innocent interest in Denji, offering something he's never experienced genuine affection. At first glance, Daisy's warmth feels like manipulation, in which, throughout the movie, we slowly learn more of her secret identity, eventually learning that she's a human devil hybrid who was raised as a weapon in the Soviet Union. And as her story unfolds, we slowly see cracks form between her duty and her humanity. She's caught between two worlds, one where she's forged as his ruthless killer, and another where for the briefest of moments, she rediscovers what it means to be human through the one and only Denji. As audience members, we're made to question, at what point does Daisy genuinely fall for Denji? How much of it was a mission, and how much of it was her true feelings? Was it when she was spending time with him at the cafe? When she was teaching him how to swim at the pool? Or was it finally towards the end of the movie? It's this ambiguity that makes Daisy such a tragic and beautifully written character. Her emotions are real, but unfortunately cannot be fulfilled. As the very first opportunity Daisy gets to become human, her story unfortunately meets its end. And Fujimoto, I cannot forgive him. This atrocity, this war crime. You're left wondering, could things have gotten a different way? What if Denji decided to run away with Daisy during her initial offer? Or what if it was the other way around? What if they ran away towards the end of the movie when Denji offered? Could there have been a happy ending? Or is this all an illusion of freedom orchestrated by Makima? Man, it truly hurt that knowing for the first time that both of these characters might have found a match for one another. But we'll never know. Just like my situationship. But the brilliance of the Chainsaw Man movie lies not only in its characters, but also its storytelling. Man, I feel like I'm in English class again in like a Socratic seminar where I'm just analyzing every little detail possible. But this pool scene truly stands out along the spider and the butterfly when you realize the amount of details that was put into it. As the moment Denji jumps into the pool, he, the butterfly, gets ensnared by reze, the spider, which depicts the very moment that Denji falls for reze. But this scene also depicts the opposite, where reze falls for Denji. As it turns out, the butterfly is a monarch butterfly, a species of poisonous butterflies. The poison being the feelings that plague reze, and ultimately causing her demise, one might say. Because without said poison, there are so many opportunities where she could have outright killed Denji, like in the school when she was with Typhoon, for example, or in the beginning when she was with Denji at the cafe. But towards the end of the fight, we also see Denji lapping reze with his chains, and it really makes you wonder who here's the real spider and who here's the real butterfly. Another nice detail and use of symbolism that I really enjoyed was also at the end when Daisy is holding a red Gerbera flower, which symbolizes unconscious love, or to be fully immersed and surrounded by love in the language of flowers. And I really thought, wow, that was a really nice touch, and very fitting for a current situation. But perhaps the most heartbreaking part of the movie was the parallelism in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. As in the beginning, we initially see Daisy walking towards Denji, but at the end of the movie, we see Daisy frantically running to meet Denji, just depicting how much she changed. And then we hear the line, I didn't go to school either. And man, let me tell you something. Something just broke in me, just right then and there in the theaters. Both Daisy and Denji, truly two sides of the same coin. Two children shaped by terrible upbringings. When Daisy was critiquing Denji about how messed up his life was, how weird his life was, what she really was doing was projecting how bad her own life was. And it really, really is unfortunate that she never gets a happy ending. Like, come on, Denji, please, just look behind you, just one glance. I also just have to mention that This voice actor, Dana Uda, did an absolutely stellar job, along with the other voice actors, as it really just brought out the emotions to a whole nother level. Hearing her voice, the way she interacted with Denji, it made her feel much more human than she was in the manga, making her someone you can truly understand and empathize with. On the same note, another noteworthy character that also happens to be one of my other favorite characters is Beam. Constantly hearing Beam say, Chainsaw-sama! Chainsaw-sama! Psycho! Psycho! It made me audibly laugh a couple more times than it should have in the theaters. And even Aki and Angel seems a very heartwarming development. But besides the plot and characters, the part that really brought it home for me was the music and soundtracks. Of course, we have the amazing songs like Iris by Kenshi Yonezu and Jane Doe, also by Kenshi Yonezu and Hikaru Utada, my two goats. But I think what really brought it home for me were the soundtracks done by Kensuke Ushio. In the Pool has to be one of the most beautiful soundtracks that my ears have ever been blessed with. And this is one soundtrack that truly made the pool scene one of the most beautiful scenes in the entirety of the movie. And it's not even just in the pool. All the soundtracks produced by Kensuke Ushio were absolute bangers that I still can't help but listen to on repeat right now. And then finally, there's the amazing, splendid art, which ties everything together, solidifying the Chainsaw Man movie as a masterpiece for me. Needless to say, Mappa, with their outstanding reputation, delivered another work of art with Chainsaw Man. Genuinely, when I was watching the fight between Denji and Reze, I was thinking to myself how baffling it is that such talented people exist on this planet, and what a pleasure it is to witness such talent. Especially when Denji and Beam were fighting Typhoon, the sheer amount of rubble, debris, buildings, everything flying around, the amount of drawings that had to be done was just absolutely mind blowing. And then there's Reze in her abominable form, and the explosions, which needs little to be mentioned. Every time she activated her ability, it was pure satisfaction. And another side note, I do have to mention how satisfying the sound effects in the movie was. Every time Reze went BANG! It was like Gojo sending out hollow purple level of satisfaction. But it wasn't even just the fights, but also the more peaceful moments like the beginning cafe moments, Denji's day with Makima, the festival, and once again the pool scene. Everything about it felt so realistic and beautifully drawn. It was almost as if I was taken back to the streets of Tokyo all over again. Overall, this movie was worth every dollar that I spent, and I'll definitely rewatch it again even. The movie's pacing felt completely fine, felt ever feeling too slow or too fast. I felt right to the point where every scene was enjoyable, without anything being dragged on for too long, like this video. And even though I did read the manga years ago whenever the chapters released, I'm sure most people agree with the same sentiment that this movie truly brought this entire arc to life. And I'm still in disbelief that I'm alive to witness such a beautiful movie.